In the shadow of World War II's final days, as Japanese forces retreated across the Pacific, rumors of unimaginable wealth hidden in the mountains of the Philippines began to circulate. These weren't ordinary battlefield whispers. They were stories of gold bars, ancient religious artifacts, diamonds, and rare statues, plundered from the Asian continent by the Japanese Imperial Army and supposedly buried in secret, deadly tunnels. Leading this campaign of looting and alleged concealment was General Tomoyuki Yamashita, the infamous Tiger of Malaya. The story begins in 1942, when Japan's military triumphs were at their peak. With country after country falling under Japanese occupation, Thailand, Malaysia, Burma, the Dutch East Indies, and the Philippines, their forces seized more than just territory. Priceless cultural treasures, gold from banks, private vaults, temple offerings, and looted civilian wealth were quietly loaded onto ships bound for the Philippines. Why the Philippines? It was considered a strategic fallback location, Japan's last bastion before retreating to the homeland. But many of those ships never made it, either sunk by Allied submarines or scuttled to hide their contents. As Japan's defeat loomed, General Yamashita and his top officers are believed to have supervised the final phase of hiding this treasure. With the help of engineers, local laborers, many of whom were executed afterward, and Japanese soldiers, dozens of sites across the Philippines were rigged with booby traps, flooded, sealed with concrete, or collapsed with explosives. Tunnels stretched through mountainsides, forests, and caves. Some say the treasure was marked using old Spanish maps or encrypted markings known only to a few. After the war, General Yamashita was captured and tried for war crimes. He was hanged in 1946, but not before whispers began that he had left behind coded instructions or confided in a few loyal officers about the locations of these hidden caches. Thus was born the myth, or the reality, of Yamashita's gold. For decades, the Philippines became a hotbed of secret excavations. From the jungles of Mindanao to the hills of Luzon, treasure hunters with military-grade gear, old Japanese maps, and connections in high places began digging. Most found nothing. A few claimed they found billions. In the 1970s and 80s, the story took a darker political turn. Ferdinand Marcos, then dictator of the Philippines, is alleged to have secretly discovered at least one Yamashita site. According to multiple reports and court testimonies, Marcos used foreign engineers and private contractors to unearth massive vaults filled with gold bars stamped with foreign markings. The recovered treasure was laundered through offshore banks, financing the dictator's extravagant lifestyle. One of the most explosive claims came from a man named Rogelio Roxas, a Filipino locksmith and amateur treasure hunter. In the early 70s, he claimed to have found a golden Buddha filled with diamonds and several gold bars in a tunnel in Baguio. Not long after, his home was raided and the items vanished. Roxas later sued Marcos in Hawaii, and in 1996, a court found in favor of Roxas's estate, awarding billions in damages, though the full judgment was never collected. Beyond the courts and legends, countless lives have been consumed or lost in pursuit of Yamashita's gold. Some claim to have been threatened or silenced, others died in accidents, some too strange to ignore. To this day, locals speak of mysterious diggings at night, guarded by armed men, and unexplained tremors followed by silence. But is it all just a legend? Some historians insist there is no solid evidence that such treasure ever existed. They argue that the logistics of moving and hiding such vast amounts of wealth amid wartime chaos were nearly impossible. Yet others point to recovered bars, eyewitness accounts, and foreign intelligence reports declassified years later. Today, the legend lives on. Some believe the treasure is cursed. Others say it's been completely looted already. And still, new adventurers arrive each year, driven by stories passed down through generations, coded maps handed off in secrecy, and the eternal allure of lost gold. Because in the mountains of the Philippines, the jungle still holds its secrets. And somewhere beneath the earth, if the legends are true, rests one of the greatest lost treasures in human history. The years following World War II in the Philippines were chaotic, marked by the transition from colonial rule to an independent republic. as well as deep political unrest. But beneath this turmoil, a far quieter and more secretive struggle was taking place, a hunt for treasure that involved not just amateur prospectors, but high-ranking officials, international operatives, and shadowy financial institutions. During the Marcos regime, particularly in the 1970s, the Philippine government allegedly conducted numerous covert digs at suspected Yamashita sites. These operations were shrouded in secrecy, with locations guarded by military personnel and communications veiled under classified operations. There are persistent rumors that Marcos had assembled a team of trusted engineers, foreign tunnel experts, and even psychics to locate the treasure. Some reports claim that Marcos was advised by both Japanese informants and American intelligence agents. One infamous dig took place in Teresa, Rizal. Locals remember heavy machinery arriving in the dead of night, guarded by armed men. Strange lights were seen in the forest, followed by the sudden sealing of the area. In the morning, all evidence was gone. Years later, whispers emerged that gold bars had indeed been recovered from the site, immediately shipped abroad under diplomatic cover. Some accounts allege that Marcos, working through intermediaries, deposited large sums of wealth into Swiss bank accounts and offshore havens. Though it was impossible to trace all the funds, numerous bank documents and financial leaks later hinted at unexplainable inflows during the Marcos years. Could this have been the result of hidden Yamashita treasure? Documents later uncovered in international investigations revealed coded references to Project Rainbow and Golden Lily, the latter a term associated with Japan's wartime looting. These operations reportedly referred to the covert tracking and recovery of treasure, often involving corrupt officials and discreet financial institutions. What makes the Marcos connection even more complex is the testimony of military insiders. A former intelligence operative, under a pseudonym, once claimed that American agents were monitoring the digs and at times even assisting them. The US allegedly viewed Yamashita's gold as a geopolitical bargaining chip during the Cold War. If true, this would mean that portions of the treasure may have quietly made their way into Western financial systems. In 1986, when Marcos was overthrown and fled the country, documents, gold certificates, and coded maps were found in Malacañang Palace. Among them were sketches of tunnel systems, unfamiliar Japanese symbols, and sealed orders bearing imperial crests. One curious discovery was a partially disassembled golden Buddha statue, eerily similar to what Rogelio Roxas described. Despite these discoveries, the Philippine government never officially acknowledged the treasure's existence. Publicly, it dismissed claims as urban legends. Privately, many suspect high-ranking officials continue to chase leads, hoping to recover what remains. Outside of government, private treasure hunters remain relentless. Companies like the Golden Lily Foundation, shadowy investors from Japan, and rogue military groups have all been linked to digs in remote provinces. There have been mysterious explosions, sudden floods in supposedly dry tunnels, and even stories of vengeful spirits guarding the treasure. One of the most disturbing patterns is the number of individuals who have died under mysterious circumstances after announcing discoveries. Accidental poisonings, unexplained heart attacks, disappearances. These have become common in the lore surrounding Yamashita's gold. Some attribute it to powerful forces protecting their share. Others whisper of curses, saying that the gold is stained with the blood of those executed during its burial. Yet, for every story of death, there's one of success. Anonymous millionaires who once lived in poverty, sudden land purchases, villagers who vanish only to be seen years later, living lavishly in foreign countries. The legend refuses to die. In 2020, a YouTube video surfaced showing an alleged discovery in Nueva Ecija. The footage was grainy, but showed a sealed chamber, marked with Japanese inscriptions and filled with what looked like gold bars. The video was swiftly taken down. The uploader hasn't been heard from since. Why does this legend continue to captivate the world? Perhaps it's the allure of unimaginable wealth, or maybe it's the feeling that some secrets of history, buried deep and protected by war, politics, and betrayal, are still waiting to be unearthed. And maybe, just maybe, deep beneath the soil of the Philippines, something still waits in the darkness.